Well, today's video is sponsored by Black Gold Compost Company. We want to thank the good people over at Black Gold for their generous donation of all this black cow manure that we're using in our video today. Thank you for sponsoring our channel. Well, good morning, Homestead family. Nancy's picked out some seeds she wants me to grow. We'll be right back after the break. We'll talk about it. See you in a minute. Well, welcome back, friends. Every year at growing season, Nancy likes to go through all of our seed catalogs, and she makes a list of some things that she wants to try this year. And one of the things she picked out this year is the scarlet kale. Now, she got these seeds online at Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. Go check them out online. They got a wide variety of all kinds of seeds. You could pick out whatever you want for your fall garden, and they're good people to work with. Baker Creek. Anyway, Nancy's picked out the scarlet kale. I'm not sure what she's going to do with it, but I can promise you whatever she comes up with, it'll be worth the effort of planting it for her. And also, if we have any leftovers of this, we'll make a chicken treat for the chickens out of it. So I got my seeds all started in the seed starting tray. Let's get them in the rack and get these beautiful kale germinating. Okay, there's Nancy's scarlet kale in the rack, off and running. So this right here could be direct sown if you want to sow it directly into your earth bed. For me, I'm going to grow this in containers. So I went ahead and started this in the seed starting tray so I can get me a nice, beautiful transplant seedling. And once these things get up, we'll transplant them over into some 3-gallon containers and put them out on the grow table for Miss Nancy. So stick with me. We'll be back in the days ahead and watch the progression of this beautiful scarlet kale all the way up until we get to harvest it. And I'm still looking forward to seeing what Nancy cooks with it. We'll be back shortly. Well, Miss Nancy's scarlet kale have been in the seed starting trays for 15 days today. We started them 15 days ago, and as you can see, if you'll come up and take a little close look, they're just starting to come up. I've got a few of them that's got some true leaves. I got some other ones that have just broke the surface and emerged with the little cotton leaves. So these are going kind of slow to get started, but I think they're going to pick up speed here as soon as this weather cools off a little bit. I got about 3 days of hot weather coming, so I got to really keep my eyes on these little fellers. But anyway, we'll be back in the days ahead, and we'll watch the progress of these beautiful scarlet kale all the way up until Miss Nancy picks them. So we'll be back soon. Well, good morning, Homestead family. Our scarlet kale has been growing for 25 days since the day we planted the seed until today. And it's been out here on the hardening table for about 6 or 7 days now, so it's, ready to go. If you'll come up close, you can take a little look at how these beautiful seedlings are looking. You can see they're getting some pretty good stem structure and plenty of true leaves. And they're about 3 to 4 inches tall at this point. So at this point, we're ready to get these guys off into the containers. So today we're going to plant these in 3-gallon containers. That way we can grow it up on the grow tables, and it'll be much easier to control it and maintain it all the way through to harvest. So let's get these containers started. Well, we're ready to go. I've got my containers filled up with my homemade container mix. I make this container mix at home. It's really nothing to it. It's pretty easy. We got a link on our video on our channel about how to make container mix at home. So we'll get Nancy to put a link to that video on this video, and go check that out. So if you want to make this for yourself, it's pretty easy to do, and it goes step by step, nothing to it. So we got the mix ready. I've got it already in the buckets. I'm going to plant 18 3-gallon containers, and I'm going to fertilize it with blood meal. I want to push the nitrogen because what I'm looking for on this particular plant is the leaf. I want to grow the leaves, the foliage. So I'm going to hit it with the blood meal to push that nitrogen right on out to that leaf system. So I'm going to start out by putting about 3 tablespoons in each one of the containers. Then I'm going to saturate it with water till it stands about 2 inches deep, and let that water soak right on down through the container to pre-soak all of this container mix because it's pretty dry. So that'll pre-soak the bottom, and then we'll take it to the next step. Let's get started. All right, our pots are soaked down. They're ready to be worked with. What I'm gonna do, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add in some more of my container mix and bring that soil level right on back up to about the 1 inch below the rim of the container. Okay, next thing is I'm gonna poke a hole in here, and I like to go from the center of my middle finger to the middle of my palm. That's the depth I like to use for my seedlings. Once I have the hole, I put about 2 tablespoons of blood meal in the hole. And at that point, we're ready to put in the seedling. A beautiful seedling. Put it right down in there. I collapse the sides around it. Okay. Then I pack it just a little bit. Put this one in. Collapse the sides, pack it. Once I have it down like that, I just add a little bit more soil just to get it back up since I packed it hard. And remember, as you water this, it's going to sink down some more over time. So it's kind of good to start off just a little bit below the rim of the container. That way it makes a catch basin for when you water it. It acts as a collector, you know, it'll capture that water and put it right on in the container instead of running off. If you have it up over the edge of the rim all the way to the top, all it does is just run out, you know, over the sides. So you want to leave that little lip, see, like that. That way you got it to where it'll catch that water. Okay, that one's ready to go to the grow table. Let me go ahead and get the rest of these done, and we'll get over there to the grow table and get them going. Well, there we go. Got Miss Nancy's scarlet kale in the buckets and on the table and off and running. So we'll be back in the days ahead. We'll watch the development of these all the way out to harvest. See you soon. Good morning, friends. It's been 4 weeks since we started our scarlet kale from seed and got them planted into the 3-gallon containers. And have you ever had your plants out in your garden in the fall and you experience some unseasonable, very high temperatures and you start to lose your seedlings? It's heartbreaking. It is very difficult to try to save them from that unbearable heat. They cannot take the heat and the heat stress that it causes on the plant. You stress out the plant, especially when they're very young seedlings, and they're probably not going to make it. So there's a few things we can do to try to save our plants. If you'll remember, last week I had these 18 pots out on the grow table in the full sun, and we were having some good seasonable temperatures. You know, it was only going up to about 72, 73 during the day, going down in the low 60s at night. So I said, hey, we're doing good. Had a couple of days where it started to jump up, got up into the 80s. I went out one morning and I said, hey, I better do something with my plants because it's starting to get hot again for some reason. And 6 of our plants had already wilted over and gave up. I still have some that are still experience some heat stress, which is causing them to do some wilting. And believe me, they're not going to wilt very many times and recover. Just a few wilts, and if you can't get them into a safer environment, then they're going to probably give up. So what I did is I took those the 12 plants that were remaining, I took them off of the grow tables, got them out of the direct sun, and I put them over here under my Nancy's herb table. This is our salad bar in here, and it's covered with a 40% shade cloth in the overhead. So I'm hoping that by moving them and giving them some of that relief from that noonday sun and that afternoon sun, maybe I can get them through this hot spell. I was looking at the weather forecast again, and we have at least another week ahead of us. 7 more days, it's 88, 89 degrees. So this is very hot for late October here, even in Florida. And we're having a lot of trouble with our poor little kales. They're struggling trying to survive, but getting them under the shade cloth may help. So that might be something you want to keep in mind. If you've got your plants in containers, try to get them to where they can have full sun and afternoon shade. Even if you have to move them, if you have to pick your plants up and move them for a few days, it'll be worth it. But there's not much you can do if you've got them planted out in the earth bed, because now they're there. So the only thing you can do at that point is, you know, keep them wetted down with the overhead watering or hand watering them to try to keep them cool. It's a very difficult battle to fight that heat. So anyway, we got them out here. Another step I took, you know, trying to be a little proactive, is I had some leftover seedlings, remember, when we planted the 18 seedlings last week. So I started them over here. I took those little seedlings and I stepped them up into a little bit bigger container. These are 5-inch containers, 5-inch cups. So I've got some seedlings left, you know, by being proactive. I stepped them up, bigger containers, and hopefully these will be good surviving under the shade cloth. And if I lose any more, which it looks like I am, I see already 1, 2, 3, 4. I already see at least 5 more giving up. I don't know if they're going to make it. So what I'll do is, after this heat wave passes and we get into the seasonable weather, I'll take these seedlings that I stepped up and I'll transplant them back into step them up into a 3-gallon, and I get them going in 3 gallons until I can get them back on the grow table for the cooler temperatures. So that's the plan right now. try to keep that in mind if you have this unexpected heat wave late into fall after you've already got your plants in. Try to look for some place to move them into the shade. Try to keep them moist. Try to keep them cool best you can. And if you see that you're going to have a real long period of heat like I'm having, you may even want to start some of your seedlings over again, because you may, if it's early enough, still have time to take those new seedlings that you start and get them into your garden so that you can at least have a fall garden, and it gives you a little bit of a second chance. So let's let these continue. Let's get through next week and let's see where we're at that point. Keep your fingers crossed, because that's how it goes with gardening. We'll be back soon. Well, welcome back, friends. I just got through replacing the 12 plants that died from the heat stress with the replacement plants that we had started in the little 5-inch cups. That's these 12 right here on these back 2 rows. So I think we've got Miss Nancy's scarlet kale at least back up and running. I think we got the full table now, full 18 plants, and we got one more hot day coming tomorrow. Going to be 79 degrees tomorrow for about 3 or 4 hours. So I'll come out tomorrow and I'll try to cool these off one more time real carefully. And I think from there on out, we should be pretty much in the right kind of weather for growing this kale. So we'll be back in a few weeks. We'll take another look at the progress we've made. And this is just another one of those obstacles that we had to overcome during the growing season. So we'll see you back here in a few weeks. Well, Miss Nancy's scarlet kale seems to be doing okay at the 5-week point. It was a rough start on that heat wave that we had to go through and all of what we went through with that, but we did get them out here on the table, very recently, and they're doing a lot better now with these cooler temperatures. They're starting to get some traction, and I think that you're going to really see some good growth here in the next few weeks, because the temperatures are finally seasonable here in November. We got into some cooler temperatures. So we'll be back in the days ahead, and we'll watch the development of this beautiful scarlet kale all the way out to harvest. We'll see you soon. Well, welcome back, friends. Our scarlet kale's been growing for 9 weeks today. It's made some really good progress over the last couple of weeks, and I'm starting to see some changes in the plant itself, which I wanted to share with you. The leaves themselves are starting to get the little curly edges around the edge of the leaf, which is a sign that it's starting to get to full maturity. It's getting there. The stems have started to change to that scarlet color. They're looking real pretty. The veins in the leaves are also turning to the scarlet color, but the leaves themselves are still a greenish color. So I'm sure that in the days ahead, as the temperatures begin to fall a little bit better and get a little cooler, and this plant reaches full maturity, you'll see that these leaves will start to turn to a scarlet color as well. So we're looking for that in the days ahead as the plant progresses. Another thing that I wanted to remind you of, at this point, the plants are starting to get some height on them, and they have, remember, big leaves on them. So when you have height with big leaves, they're susceptible to wind damage. So you always have to keep that in mind, for these kinds of plants. So at this point, I went ahead and stake up my plant material with 3 little bamboo stakes. Are all 24 inches long, and what I try to do is I try to trap the stem of the plant itself in a triangular pattern inside the bamboo. I put the bamboo there, and it'll keep that stem straight. It'll also help to support it when we get some wind, to keep it from snapping over and breaking. So that's about the most proactive step we can take to get in front of that wind to keep it from damaging our plants. So anyway, you can get these, by the way, these little bamboo stakes. You can get them at any old garden center, 24 inches long. You can go online and look for them. You can find them pretty easily. If you can't find them nowhere, Nancy's got has got these stakes on our Amazon storefront page at the back of our channel. You can check it out there and get them there if you want to. But these stakes will make a big difference in your kale. You just don't want to come out and let the wind lead you into a big old disappointment with broke over plants. But anyway, they're looking great. We'll be back in the days ahead as soon as these start to turn colors, and we'll take another look at them as they come into their full beauty. We'll see you soon. Well, welcome back, Homestead family. It's been 2 weeks since our last update with you on this beautiful scarlet kale. 2 weeks ago, we had all 18 plants on this one grow table right here, and these guys have literally just started to explode. You can see how much height there are differences in the plants now than they were 2 weeks ago, and also the leaves are starting to cascade out. And they were getting so big so rapidly that they were starting to tangle up with the plant adjacent to it, and I was afraid that having those leaves touching each other like that would cause the plant to become leggy. So I took 9 of the plants, half of the plants, and I put them on this grow table next to it, and I gave them plenty of growing space in between them. They got 2 feet now in between each of the plants, and they're really happy like that. So that's a good spacing for them when they get up about the 9-week point, because it's been 11 weeks since we planted these from seed. So they've done a lot of growth just in an 11-week period. And 2 weeks ago, we were just starting to see some of the stems turning that beautiful scarlet red. And since then, all the stems on all the plants have now reached that beautiful color that I was looking for. 2 weeks ago, all the leaves were still green. This 2 weeks later here, now the leaves are starting to turn to the scarlet color that I was looking for. Some of the plants are already fully colored. Some of them still have a little bit more to go, but they are definitely getting there. And they look good. Real beautiful plant. So they are at this point ready to harvest. I'm not going to harvest any today because Nancy's going to be coming out and harvesting this herself as much as she wants and when she wants it. And she's going to be using it as a cooking ingredient in some of her new recipes. And from what I hear from her, she's going to be making some new cooking videos utilizing this scarlet kale. So that gives us something to look forward to. I look forward to eating it, and I hope that you're looking forward to seeing what she does with it. So anyway, we got the scarlet kale ready. I thought you just might want to consider this to be a candidate for your fall garden this year, and if so, now you know the rest of the story. So I hope that our video brought a smile to your face and some joy to your heart on this day. So till me and Nancy, see you next time. Always remember, by His hands we are fed. Give us, Lord, our daily bread. Amen.
Have a blessed day.